Like school, e-learning.
This is a campus task, which means it is happening on campus, just like in question type 3. But in this one, there is no announcement that you have to relate to. There's only a conversation, and this conversation, one student has a problem, and the other person, sometimes it's a student, sometimes it's a academic advisor, sometimes it's a professor, will have solutions to this problem. So for me, the way I start out before I even begin listening to it is by doing this. First, I will put a P for problem, solution, S1 for solution 1, D for dilemma, because there's usually always a problem with the first solution, S2 for solution 2, D for dilemma. And this helps me organize my speaking. It gives me a place to put my problem, or the problem, the two solutions, and the dilemma. And also gives me a really easy way to give my preference, which you are also asked to do. So the question asks, describe the problem, then state which of the two solutions you prefer and why. And this formula, this thing that I just put on the board, will help you give reasons for your preference. So the first thing we have to do is tell you what the problem is, right? So the problem is the woman, and it's sort of surprising that it's a woman, usually it's a man, it seems like, has to write a paper in her history class. But she can't find research materials. This is a common problem in college. You have to find your own materials to give examples for your papers. You can't just say whatever you want. You have to have research to back it up. She's looked in the school and the public library and at the bookstore. And at these three places, she cannot find any research material for her paper. Now, you might suggest that she change her paper topic, but that's not one of the solutions that the man gives. The first solution is to look for online sources. There are always journals and books online that you can have access to. It would be useless to store everything in a library that is printed. It's much easier to digitally store it or keep it online. And this way, there's a lot of information out there in the world that is not in her library, that is not physical. And she can get suggestions from the professor. The professor can sort of lead her in a direction where she can find the material she needs. But she might have to pay for a membership, and she's not sure she wants to pay for a membership to these sites, to these journal sites, when she's only going to write one paper. It doesn't seem to make sense to her. The second solution is to request or ask for books from another library. Now, this happens all the time in college. One library can't keep every book ever printed about a certain subject. And libraries will trade books often. At my school, we call this interlibrary loan, or ILL, and I don't know how many times ILL saved my life when I was looking for research materials for my papers, especially if you go to a small school. So requesting books from another library is a very, very common practice. And they'll mail it to you, and it's free, and it's great. You just have to return it in its proper condition and at a certain time. But the dilemma here, D, is it will take 1 to 2 weeks. It has to make its way all the way from whatever school, wherever in the country it's coming from. Oftentimes it could be on the other side of the country. I got books delivered from New York City, and I went to school in Indiana, and that's 1,000 miles, easy. So that poses a problem. So this way, with your PS1, S2 solution formula, you have already put your response in a way where you can naturally go from one thing to the next. You can say the problem is, the first solution is the first dilemma, second solution, second dilemma. And this will give you a transition. This will give you pauses. I highly recommend you do, if not this, something very similar. And for me, it makes sense just to put a star by my preference, which option I like to choose the most. For me, it's an instant decision. I don't have time to, ponder it for a very long time. You have to make this decision which one you prefer really, really quickly, because you only have 20 seconds. And let me show you something that's really helpful. One of the best ways to give reasons for your preference is just by restating the dilemma. The dilemma with my preference is the second solution. And here, easy. First of all, I don't want to pay for anything that I'm just going to use once. It doesn't make sense to pay money. I have my first reason right there. Just have to draw an arrow. Really easy. The second solution is I just had to think about it a little bit, or excuse me, the second reason that I just had to think about for a little bit was you can get help from the librarian. Somebody can assist you if you get books from another library. So for these reasons, for the fact that it's free and I can get help, the second solution fits better. But if you decide that the solution 1 is better for you, you think solution 1 is better, you can say that 1 to 2 weeks is too long to wait for the materials I need. I need them today. I need them right now. And that will be a very good reason for your preference for solution 1. So this way we have completed the entire assignment. We have stated the problem, the 2 solutions, our preference, and the reasons behind it. There's 5 things you need to do. And with this formula, you do it quite easily. So when you are reading my response or listening to it, look for that. Look and see how you can make it where you can answer the 5 points that are required for this question.